And welcome to today's live event for Procore invoice processing training for ECS, Equity Construction Solutions. So I am your host and moderator. So I am Faye Bodike, Director of Operations here. So I will be providing them today. So we'll go over a little bit about our services, the overview of the process, what the problem is, what the solution is, what the benefits of this is. The invoice scheduling, when the invoicing cycles will open up for all the trade partners to submit invoices. The schedule of values process, which will now be embedded into the invoice process. The actual invoice process, if you have a contract or if you have a purchase order, and how existing trade partners will handle existing contracts. And at the end, we have some links available for you for links and assistance, and we're going to be making a slide for frequently asked questions. So just a little bit about ECS. So one, we are a design builder. So we are a developer, we are a design builder. So we work closely with a lot of our development staff and design build those projects. Then they move through the process and we either become the construction manager or general contractor on those on items 2 and 5 there. Then also pre-construction services. So we have a full estimating team that is head by Shane Stacy, and we offer pre-construction services. So if we just need to provide pre-construction services, we can do those as well. And then item 3, and you're not part of the ECS, but part of the Equity 360 portfolio is program management. So program management, also referred to as owner representation work, that team, provides oversight to owners, looking out for that third party owner representation. So we have staff that provides those services as well. So now we'll get into the presentation. So we're going to talk about the overview, what the problem is, and, the solutions and the benefits for, streamlining the invoice process. So the problem is invoices are mailed to a variety of individuals and locations. Invoices are sent to accounting with lack of information, schedule values, lump sums, unable to identify what those invoices and which projects they are assigned to. Invoices are in an inconsistent format. So here on the screen, I'm showing you a G702. This is actually a G702 that comes out of Procore. Once you enter your invoices information into Procore, you'll be able to print this, and I will show you how to do that. But that is what the deliverable is out of the Procore system. So the solution to those problems is to use Procore, a streamlined invoice management system. So it offers a consistent procedure. The invoices are submitted to the owners timely, and it allows payment to our trade partners timely. So why are we selecting Procore? So Procore is an invoice management system. It offers a comprehensive suite of tools that allows us to manage invoices for all of our trade partners, and allows that workflow to workflow the system from the trade partner to the project manager to our accounting staff, so we can assemble all of the invoices and bill the invoices to the owner on a monthly basis. So that workflow allows us, one of the 5 benefits of using that Procore. It is a repository of a storage of all of your invoices on the project. It allows easy access for the trade partners to access any of those invoices. It's an automated data entry. It is real-time tracking, so we can see, when you entered it, what the status of it is, if you hit submit, and it workflows. It workflows from one step to the other step to make that a seamless process. So we'll be writing 2 sets of instructions for the trade partners. The first set will be a schedule of values template. So the schedule of values template will be integrated now into the invoice process. So ECS will be providing you a template. It is available on our ECS Builds website under subcontractors and suppliers. And you'll be able to download that, and I'll get into those instructions a little bit later in the presentation. Item number 2 is the Procore invoice instructions. So when you're assigned a contract, you will get an exhibit attached by our contract administrator, Michelle Parrish, that will provide the Procore invoice instructions. And we can also provide a clip of the video link that we're hearing today that will be provided for that. Those Procore invoice instructions and the video links will also be available on the website under subcontractors and suppliers. So invoicing schedule. So the invoicing schedule is very critical. So if you are a trade partner and if you have your contract set up in Procore and you have the right people in the directories for that, the payment window, the invoice window will open on the 14th. So on the 14th of every month, our ECS staff will open up that invoice window, and anybody that's assigned to the projects, that is the subcontractor, will receive an email that says it is time for you to submit your monthly invoice. So you have from the 14th to the 20th to go in and prepare that, what we call that pencil copy. So when you go in and prepare that pencil copy, you have a couple ways to prepare that pencil copy. You can actually export the SOV straight from Procore. You can mark it up. You can send it over the project manager, or you can download the previous month's G702 and you can mark that up and send that over to the project manager. So that will be an email step. To send, download those from Procore or download those if you save them outside of Procore, download those and email those to the project managers. So that important date is from the 14th to the 20th to make sure that you're emailing those pencil copies to the project managers for review. So from the 20th to the 23rd, the pencil copies, the project managers will review those pencil copies and they will give those approvals back to you by the 23rd. So you will have all those back from our project manager staff. And then you will have those back and you will have from the 23rd to the 25th to submit your final payment application. So your final payment application will be done in Procore for all the new contracts. And also there's a new item. So all for new contracts, there was a required field that you had to attach the G702, 703. We no longer need to do that. So technology has come a long way. So that is all embedded in the system. There is no reason to attach a duplicate invoice once you have done your invoicing in Procore. So that is for new contracts only. And I'll get into what existing contracts have to do a little bit later. Then if for any reason, if any of the dates occur on a weekend, they will always be due on the Friday prior. So on the left there, you can see the invoicing cycle that starts on the 14th being an opening. The 20th is the pencil copies due, 23rd, the project manager approves, and the 25th, the final pay application is due in Procore. So talking about that 25th being that date, so that invoice window will close at midnight, so no late invoices will accepted. So the computer will automatically generate that. That will close the invoicing window at midnight on the 25th. So make sure that you're marking your calendars on, if you have any project with ECS, that you're marking your calendars to submit those invoices by the 25th, and make sure that you're getting with your accounting staff. So once that submission window closes, ECS will be unable to reopen that. You will need to submit the following month when the new window opens. So the new window will open the 14th of every month, and that cycle will repeat. So now we'll be focusing on the schedule of values process, which will be a new process that's integrated into Procore. So it allows it to be a little bit more streamlined with your invoicing process. So the schedule of values process, you will download the SOV template. Again, that is on our ECS Builds website under subcontractors and suppliers. There's a link there. There will be a slide later in this presentation will show you what you need to do to complete that. And then you will email that to the PM for approval. They will approve that schedule of values, and the PM, you will send that back to them, and the PM will upload that in Procore. So there's a nice little graphic there that shows you kind of that workflow of the schedule values process. So in preparing the SOV, there's an SOV template in Excel that's available on our website that the trade partners will go out and download that template. There's 3 tabs on the template. There's an instruction tab that tells you, what you need to do from the instruction standpoint. And there is a second tab that shows you all of the cost codes available. And then there's the third tab, which shows you kind of an example of what your schedule values would look like. So on the left on the screen here, on the instruction tab, that's the first tab. And the third tab is showing you kind of the sample SOV template that has been started for you. The other tab is the cost codes. So the schedule of values should be broken down by material labor for each of your schedule's activities. So you can see in the example over to the left with the brick example that was provided there. So then we also have scheduled underlined. So keep in mind that if you're doing a multi-store building, if your schedule is like I am doing, drywall on floor 1, 2, and 3, your schedule values will be drywall floors 1, 2, and 3. So make sure that your scheduled activities and your schedule values align. That will make the process much, much smoother, much faster to streamline. So the schedule values process needs to be completed 14 days of the contract award date, and it has to be completed prior to your final invoice. You will not be able to invoice until you complete this step. So this is a pretty important step. And the other item I want to mention is about our cost codes, which is the second tab on the schedule of values. These are the old CSI cost codes. So, ECS has not updated to the new one. So you will have those cost codes to remove repetitively. So if you are a electrical contractor, you're going to see the old CSI code there for Division 16, and you're going to repetitively use that 1616 for every single line item. So your cost codes are not going to be broken down to a level 2, 3, or 4 within the CSI division. They will be kept at the highest level of the CSI division. So it is not broken down any further than that. So once you submit the schedule of values back to the project manager, you will save that Excel file in a CSV format. So the Excel, when you do file save as, there is an option to save in a CSV format. That is the format that you will save that in. You will email that to your project manager. They will upload that into Procore, and you'll be ready for invoicing. So you can see an example that's been uploaded here for a test project that we did. So you can see it's just site work repeated. Again, it's at the highest level of the CSI division. And then you can see the descriptions down there in this test project that we did. So again, you will not be permitted to submit an invoice until you complete the schedule value process. So now once you've completed the schedule value process, you'll be ready to start the invoicing process. So we're going to be talking about the invoicing process if you have a contract with ECS. So if you have a contract, not a purchase order, if you have a contract with ECS, each month that person or persons in the project that's in the project directory for each project will receive an email inviting them on the 14th that the invoicing period is open for the current month and they can submit their invoice. So to do that, you will click on your contract. So when you go into Procore, it will only be your commitment. And I will show you a sample of what that will look like at the end of the presentation. So you will only see your commitment. My screen might have more, but your screen will only have your commitment. You'll hit create invoice and you'll want to launch the billing tool to submit your invoice for the month. Once you select those two options, it will now select some invoice information. And again, this is information if you have a contract with us. So the invoice information for this will be, kind of SC and then your project number. So all of the project numbers at ECS will start with like a 2 followed by a 23, a 24, 21, and that basically starts, those 2 digits is the year that that project started in design or when we set that project up. So we'll be SC 23 something something something. So that is what your invoice number will be, followed by 001, invoice 1, 002, invoice number 2. So that is what is going to go in your first field under invoice number. The billing period should automatically populate for you because we've opened it up for that billing period. The billing start and end period should be, 10/1 to 10/31. So, for this month, that should pop up. Billing period is for the month of October. Your billing date is whatever date that you're submitting that on. And the start date and the end date would be the 10/1 to the 10/31. The other fields you do not need to worry about. They don't have any action on us as far as it pertains to Procore. So once you've completed your general billing information, your schedule values that you had sent to your project manager now will appear. And you will see all of your schedule value line items. Again, working with the same one that we used in the test project, you can see that you have item numbers and you have boxes that you can select that says which one of these line items do you want to bill for this month. You just select which items you want to bill for this month, and then I'll take you to the next screen, and then you will put in the percentage complete or the dollar complete that you want to do and work completed this month. So it's a very long screen. So the previous screen and this screen, this is what you will see on Procore. You will see all the commitments. You will select which one you want. You will type the dollar amount in for work completed this period, and you'll be completed with your invoice for that month. If you have change orders on your contract, you need to make sure your change orders are submitted, reviewed, and approved. So until your change orders are submitted and approved, they're not going to show up on your schedule values for you to bill those. So it's important to make sure that your change orders, all your change orders or approval are in before the 14th. Then when the billing cycle opens on the 14th, those change orders will be approved and they will be shown there so you can bill against those as well. So once you've completed those information, Procore will summarize all of that and they will give you a total at the bottom. So make sure you confirm that this is the percent or the amount that matched what you reviewed with your pencil copy with your ECS project manager. So once you've completed your invoice, you will do attachments. So you have a couple options here on attachments. And so focusing on the boxes on their right, so you will attach your lien waivers. So you will attach any conditional lien waivers if you have provided a notice of furnishings on the job. So you will attach that conditional lien waiver. So again, I mentioned earlier, if you are a new contract, so if you're one of the new contractors on TruePoint, there is no need to attach a G702 invoice. We don't need that. That is no longer required. So the new contracts, you will attach lien waivers. If you have an existing contract, you will need to attach a G702, 703 because you have not went through the schedule values process. Then if you're billing for a purchase order, you will attach the purchase order. You will attach the invoice that generates from your company for purchase orders. So those are the things that you will attach in the attachment field. But again, this section is focusing on invoices with a contract. So invoices with a contract, the only thing you need to do is attach your lien waivers if you provided a notice of furnishing, or if you're an existing contract, you'll do that. All new contracts, you don't need to attach any more invoices for that system. So once you've done that attachment, you will click send to submit that invoice. So once you submit that, you will not be able to go back and edit it. The system will automatically workflow that to the project manager. So the project manager will have two actions. So it will sit in the system under review. And so you'll be able to go back in at any time. You'll be able to see that under review. And so the project managers, again, by their deadline, they will have two options. They can approve it and then it moves on to accounting, or they can hit revise and submit. If they hit revise and submit, the same action will happen that anybody in your company that is in the directory will get an email from Procore that says you have something to revise and submit. So it will be, important to, if you have your spam filters and Procore goes to your junk or your spam folders, those are not junk. So that will be very important if you get a revise and resubmit from your company. Whoever is the designated person that submits the invoices, that signs on, you want to go in and make those modifications. And you've probably been in contact already with a project manager on what those revisions were. And they will always put notes in there what those revisions are. The system will not allow them to, just revise and resubmit without some type of commentary. So once that has been revised and submit, it goes on to accounting. Accounting will take those on, we submit everything by midnight of the 25th. Accounting now will start working on the 26th. They will start assembling everything and sending all those to the owners so we can get everything out to the owners between the 1st and the 5th. We try to get all the invoices to our owners no later than the 5th. Some we get earlier, but the 5th is our drop dead deadline to get everything completed. So the next item is we want to talk about is, you have a contract with us and you're ready to bill retainage, and how do you bill for that retainage? So retainage is also billed at substantial completion of the project, and it's also contingent upon closeout punch list as bills being completed. But ECS, we also have to seek approval from the owner to say, can we bill for our retainage? So we have to reach out to all of our owners and say, hey, we're done. Are you satisfied with everything? Punch list and all those items, adding stock. Are you fine to release our retainage to us? So that is a pretty important step to make sure that has been released to us. So once we get the all clear from our owner that we're ready to release retainage, we will inform the contractors that we're ready to bill for retainage. And then all of those items have been received as far as your closeout requirements, and you can start at that step 3. And step 3 in this presentation is referencing the instruction sheet. So the instruction sheet just talks about step 3, go in and select your create invoice step. So there will be a lot of references going back to step 3, because step 3 is a critical start where you will start that invoicing process, create that invoice. So retainage should always be a separate invoice and not combined with another invoice. And you're going to enter the retainage amount to be released in the total release retainage column that's shown here on the screen. And then the retainage will appear as a negative number down the right that says this is the retainage that needs to be billed. And then you'll have the attachment feature again that you've seen on the previous screen, and you have to attach your final conditional waiver of lien when you're billing for your retainage. So that concludes how we're going to bill for invoices that have a contract. So now I'm going to move into how you bill for invoices with purchase orders. So if you received a purchase order from ECS, it's going to be very similar, but there's going to be a few nuances that you will adjust from that. So again, you will start at that step 3 step. And that step 3 step is, where you put that general contract information in. So if you remember on the previous slide, I told you that your contract number would be an SC, then the project number, and then invoice 01. This will be a step that will be different for purchase order. It will be your own company invoice generated number. So you will type that invoice number in that your company, produces from your accounting software. That is the invoice number that you will be putting in that general information box. Everything else will be the same. Again, purchase orders is very similar to contracts. If you have a change order to a purchase order, you have to make sure that that's approved. That will also appear on your the screen when you go in. You have to make sure your change orders to your PO are approved before your billing cycle, and those will be there. And then you're going to bill the same way by selecting that box, putting in the amount or the percentage you want to bill on those line items. And then you'll hit submit and send, and it will go to the project managers for those invoice actions to approve or revise and resubmit. So the invoice purchase order process is very similar. They just don't have a schedule of values, and you're going to be generating your own invoice number in our system. So the next item I wanted to talk about is for some strange reason that you want to submit an invoice, but for some reason you did not receive an invitation from ECS to submit an invoice in the Procore system. There's an option to do that on the 14th if you wanted to do that. So you can go into Procore, but you have to select which project you want to bill. So the link that you get is from each specific project. So there are many of you that have multiple projects with us, and you're on multiple projects. So on the example here, I'm using the TruePoint projects because there is many trades that are going to start appearing on many of these different TruePoint projects in here that we have, and we'll continue adding more TruePoint projects as we start building out the rest of the 17 buildings on that site. So you will log into Procore. You will select which project you want to bill from the project window from all the projects that you have with ECS. So once you do that, then you will go to the commitments. So there is a commitments box right here that should show up. So you should select commitments. And when you select commitments, your commitment would be the only one that you would see. So you would be able to select your commitment and you'll be able to start that same exact process. So you'll start that commitment, and again, you'll go back to that step 3 and 4, fill out all the general information, the SC, the project number, invoice 001. You'll fill out all that billing information, select all the boxes that you want to bill for those line items on the schedule values, and then do your appropriate attachments, then hit submit, and then it will go through the workflow again for the project managers to approve. So that concludes, how you invoice if you did not get an invitation from us on the 14th of the month. So next steps. So what will individuals need to do next steps moving forward? So one of the items that many of you have probably thought today is, do you have the correct people that does your invoicing or does your billings for your company in the project directory? So if you do not have those people in there, you need to email Michelle Parrish. And at the end of this presentation, there'll be links and contact information. So her information will be provided. She will be the person that will help you get the right people from your company into the right projects or multiple projects for your company so you can use the invoicing feature in Procore. So that would be your homework that you want to make sure that you're doing. So if you have an existing project, I have an existing project and I did not do a schedule values, what do you need to do? So you will still bill the exact same way. You will just not have the schedule value step. So when you go into Procore, you will not have the long line, all the items for schedule values there. You will just have one line item that says site work, $1 million. So you can still bill that way, but you will have to upload your G702 for those existing projects until that is complete. If for some reason, you want to talk to your project manager that says, I really like to do this. I'd like to do a little bit backtracking. Reach out to your project manager if you want to do a backtracking. But if you're close, like a couple months from completing, I would not recommend it. But if you only done one invoice, it's probably pretty easy to get your schedule values in, and we can make those adjustments and get that corrected for you. So again, existing projects will not have a schedule of values. You can still bill in the system. You will just have to upload your G702, 703 because we don't have a breakdown of your schedule values in the system unless you want to contact your project manager and make any adjustments on that. So links and assistance. So we're going to provide some links and assistance for you. So download the schedule of values template. So the first 3 items are all going to be on the ECS Builds website. So we have a tab at the top right-hand corner for subcontractors and suppliers. So if you wanted to click on that tab today, you will probably see the Procore invoice instructions that were already uploaded this morning. So that is available for you. The lien waivers have always been there as well. And I believe the schedule of values template was uploaded. So if you want to go out and do a test on those, all 3 of those are uploaded this morning. Those are effective, and everything is going live today. So for general invoice inquiries, contact your project manager, again, Weston or Tony. Make sure you're reaching out to one of those project managers. And those are the project managers that are approving your invoices. You'll hear other people's names within our company, but those 4 individuals are the individuals that are designated for project invoice approvals. So those are the ones that you need to reach out to. You could be working with many of other team members on the project, whether it be associate project managers, superintendents, assistant superintendents. They're actively involved with all of our trade partners, but those 4 individuals are the ones that are designated as the approvers. General inquiries, now here's the contact information for Michelle Parrish. So she will help you get anybody added to Procore if you need to have people in your company added. Then you just have general inquiries for her about something. You can reach out to her. Then last resort is accounting. So we will still have our AP, ECS bills for AP. Invoices will no longer be emailed there. So if you have an invoice emailed there, it will be redirected to follow the Procore invoice instructions. But we still have to have that. That's how our utility bills come in. That's how some of our other miscellaneous general conditions items get billed. So we have to make those payments. So we will always have that, but that will typically be for, mainly utilities and, it's just those general condition type items that we have to do. Most of the general conditions items have purchase orders. So, if we are procuring fence from you or procuring toilets or dumpsters from you, you're going to bill that right through the Procore system under the purchase order method. So most everybody will now be using the Procore invoice method. So now I'm going to stop the screen here. I'm going to go over to Procore and show you what Procore is going to look like. So if you're a contractor and you're in the system, and I talked a couple times about, you can download the G702 right in Procore. You can download the template right out of Procore and do that. So I'm going to go back one step here so you can see what this looks like. So while it's thinking, when you go into Procore, you will only see your project, your commitment line items here. So you will not have multiple line items like I do. So you will select your commitment, and then at the top here, you will see invoices. So you have your invoice, and then you have your invoice here that you want to select on. So here's the schedule of values that you just saw in the training. So you can see all the schedule of values here. Then now you want to export the schedule values for this billing period. So you just go up here to this export and you do export as a PDF. And what that does is that exports that PDF right into the G702, 703. So that's one of the reasons why this, there's no need for you to submit another invoice. It's intuitive in the system, so we have that. So we no longer need you to do that. Then you also see that here's this create invoice option that you'll see when you want to create a new invoice. So I mentioned if you wanted to go back in under schedule of values and you wanted to mark up a pencil copy and you wanted to pull that out of the system, you would just go here to the PDF option. You would just download this PDF. You can mark up your pencil copy that's saved right over here. You can mark up your pencil copy and send that over and do file save right here for you, and file and save that over and send that over via email. And that's all intuitive at your fingertips at Procore. So for questions, you can send those to me. I just modified the PowerPoint presentation at the fbodike@ecsbuilds.com, and you can send those over to me and I will answer those.